Hi, I'm Chris.
And I'm Jeremy.
And I'm Fergal.
And we're from Movie Smash.
Comic book movies are having a golden age right now with the MCU.
Movies based on comics aren't necessarily a new thing, but they're a big thing.
Join us every other Tuesday on Movie Smash.
We explore these movies and find some hidden gems.
Every other week, we revisit some of the best.
And some of the worst movies based on comics or graphic novels.
Was Green Lantern as bad as you remember?
Heck no!
Is Time Cop the most accurate time travel movie ever created?
Absolutely.
Was Mystery Men way ahead of its time?
Should they be revisited? Should they be forgotten?
Join us on Movie Smash and find out. Listen wherever you find your fine podcasts.
Okay, everybody, welcome to the latest episode of All Too Real 2. My name is Michael E. Cullen II, and with me, as always, is
Sesame chopping trees with my bare hands and carton.
That's a skill, man.
Yeah, it is.
It's a skill that can you chop them up into like little toothpicks?
Not that. No, I'm not at that advanced level yet. But
No.
you know, I could still do pretty good chopping.
Can you chop broccoli
with my hands?
I don't know. I'm just thinking of the Dana Carvey song "Chopping Broccoli," but
it's audition, SNL audition, which is I'm surprised that's what's got him in because I don't think it's that funny, but it's funny enough.
It actually was a sketch too, but yeah,
the sketch.
Yeah. I think it's hilarious, but that's just me. Anyway, so
Yeah.
I was a big Dana Carvey fan, though. So one day, though, I do want to cover for this show, so our fans know. I want to cover that one movie he did where what was that? That movie where he dressed up as a bunch of different people.
I don't know.
I had the name in my head right until I was about to say it. So
yeah, I don't think I know that one. I remember one where he was at Amnesia.
Yeah, that one's good, but this one is a bad.
What was that one called? Amnesia?
I think it was something about Master of Disguise. That's what it was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's considered to be one of the worst movies ever made. So
oh my God.
So yeah, we will be covering that in the future, maybe in the next couple of weeks or so. But today, folks, we are covering one of the greatest animated television series that aired in the year 1989.
Yep.
Maybe. Highly doubtful. I think there was a lot of better animated series that year.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah. So
you had Back to the Future, which I didn't like that one too much. But
yeah. But anyways, we have The Karate Kid, the animated series. It was a 1999 American animated children's television series which debuted on NBC Saturday morning lineup. It starred we'll talk about that in a minute here, but the show was originally planned for daily syndication for fall 1988 with 65 episodes, but eventually settling on 13 episode order for Saturday morning in 1989. So there are only 13 episodes, aired for 1 year. It was kind of towards the end of the Karate Kid boom of the 80s. So, kind of.
I mean,
people didn't really like the Karate Kid as much as they used to. Yeah.
5 years later than the first movie, so
yeah, and it came out shortly before or after the third one, so it's
that was terrible. So that was a horrible movie. Still fun to watch, but terrible.
Yeah. The show, this episode that we're covering is the first episode, season 1, episode 1, and called My Brother's Keeper. I don't even know why it's called that, but anyway, so
I really don't know the context of why that would make any sense, but
yeah.
So
the short synopsis is that Miyagi, Daniel, and Taki travel to the Amazon, not like a Amazon warehouse or anything, but like the Amazon. to look for the shrine. I guess this was a going thing throughout the series. They were looking for the shrine or something. I don't know. But this episode doesn't feel like it's the first episode, but it is the first episode. So it's probably
it has like you're missing something. Like there's like a pre-pilot episode that was never aired, but apparently not. So,
again, they find it in the hands of a young boy who has been cast out of his village and prevented from taking his rightful place as chief.
For some reason.
Yes.
You never really explained.
The show starred the voice cast of Joe DiDio as Daniel LaRusso, Robert Ito as Mr. Miyagi, and Janice Kawaii as Taki Tamurai. I don't know if I'm saying those names right. But, was she a character in the movies?
Taki? I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know where she came from.
New character, I think, because I don't think there's a Taki at all. Because it's Kumiko, Karate Kid love interest, and Karate Kid 2. There was no other
Asian woman that was
other Asian, but no, there wasn't. And it's just a completely new character.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even consider it to be canon because nothing in the show has anything to do with the movies at all. You know what I mean?
According to trivia, with regard to the live action series Cobra Kai, John Hurwitz clarified that the Karate Kid cartoon is not canon, but there is an Easter egg from it in season 3 in response to the question as to whether the Karate Kid animated series is official within the Karate Kid Cobra Kai universe, in form of Miyagi-Do Shrine, briefly seen at the Chosen, Tojochi Dojo in Okinawa halfway through the season. So I guess the shrine appears in an episode of Cobra Kai, but it's not canon. Yeah. It's Easter egg.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about now. Exactly. I saw that thing. Yeah. Okay. All right.
So the Pat Morita does appear in the show in live action segments that are not in the re-airs of it. The one we watched didn't have him in it, but he also does the opening narration, which opened the episode. But then the character is then voiced by someone else. It's kind of similar to in the Back to the Future animated series, which we were talking about. Christopher Lloyd did live action segments for it, but Dan Castanella did his voice in the actual animated parts. So, yeah. So initial reactions to this, I'm not going to go through any more cast members because there's a lot of voice actors in this. One that you can very well hear and know is but everybody's just listed as additional characters. It doesn't tell you who they voice, but I do know that, James Avery plays one of the bad guys, the main bad guy, I think. And people may know him as Uncle Phil from, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, as well as Shredder from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So, yeah. The voice of, yeah. So, yeah, I can always tell his voice when I hear it. So nice. He was in a lot of animated cartoons around that time, playing usually bad guys.
Okay.
He also played, I believe, the Junkyard Dog in Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling. This is all just off the top of my head. I'm just...
Yeah.
Yeah. So I could be wrong. But so initial reactions to this episode, sir.
I did not like it.
Yes.
I did not like it. There was nothing very interesting about it. I watched it twice just to make sure, I had all of the, I watched it, the second time I watched it with a quarter extra speed. So, just to kind of get it over with, but just to kind of remember. So I watched it on Thursday. I knew that if I didn't do it again, I would just forget everything. But, all boring. There wasn't much going on. I always hated, even when I was a kid, I always hated when they made cartoons based off of movies I liked and then had nothing to do with the movies at all. I know that you can't just recreate the movie in animated form, but at least have something that connects it to, you know what I mean? The movie, instead of just having a name, cause that could have easily been any other show, but they just said they put Karate Kid on it and they had the guy look like Mr. Miyagi. By the way, he's the only person who even looks like one of the main characters from the movie. The guy who plays Daniel doesn't look like Daniel, in my opinion.
By guy, you mean the animated character.
anime character. Yeah. That's
Yeah. I mean, sometimes with those things, the reason that the characters don't necessarily look completely like the other ones is because of likeness rights and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Like you can do a generic look like, I mean, considering that Pat Morita was the only person involved in the show, I could understand that maybe Ralph Macchio didn't want his, was requesting them to pay him money for his likeness, rights. Yeah. So, because this was right around or right before the whole, like, speaking of Back to the Future, the Back to the Future, likeness rights, suit for Back to the Future 2. So yeah, of, Crispin Glover. Yeah. Where Jeffrey Weissman put on a mold of his face to play him. So yeah. So Jeffrey Weissman, by the way, if you would like to look it up, he was a previous guest on our show. Check it out. That was years ago, but it's in our history here, in our, what do you call that? Our episode bank of, what is that? Our oeuvre of episodes. I don't know. I'm trying to think of words that make sense.
Something, yeah.
So, yeah, what goes down here in this episode?
All right. So they're on a boat, or a raft, rather, trying to find something called the temple, which we have no idea why we're looking for it. They never really explained why they're looking for this thing or what it looks like, but they're on a raft. Taki's kind of getting pissed at Daniel because he's terrible at rafting. I don't know what you call it, rowing. And so Miyagi's reading a fucking book the entire time.
But he keeps telling Daniel, left, right.
He's not even paying attention. It's like, reminds me of Chubbs from Happy Gilmore. We're just sitting there reading a book, and he's just like teaching this woman how to golf. He's like, there you go. It's all in the hips. It's all in the hips. And he's just like totally checked out, like what he's doing. And so it kind of reminded me of that. And then like the boat tips over because, the raft tips over because Daniel's not really good at it. And then they need to find some kid, I guess, who
First, they see like birds in the sky that are doing things, and Mr. Miyagi automatically knows there's trouble.
That's right. What does he say exactly?
His phrase is "birds are sign."
Right, because he's Japanese and therefore doesn't know how to speak English correctly. Just despite living in America for like 50 years, or some shit like, what I mean? It's like, come on, like, really? Yeah. And then it reminds me of Cobra Kai. There's an episode of Cobra Kai where Daniel is teaching Johnny some of the Miyagi ways of karate. And then at one point he says something like, sometimes the best ways of winning a fight is to quote, "No be there." And Johnny's like, "No be there?" He's like, "Don't you mean don't be there?" He's like, "What? This guy teaches you thousands of years of his family's ancient karate, and you can't help him with his English or something like that." That's good.
That's good. Yeah. No be there. That's my motto. Yep. People invite me places, and I'll be like, "No be there."
No be there. Sorry. Go ahead. Have a good time. I'm not going. Oh God.
So, it's like, there's this kid. I don't even remember his name. It begins with a K or something.
Twice, I don't remember. That's how interested I was in it. Yeah. But some kid in some tribe, some village who kicked him out for some reason, which I don't think that was explained either. They kept saying he's a coward. Okay, but is that like a reason to kick some out of a village? I guess it seems like usually like there's a reason why, like being a coward as a personality trait doesn't really seem like a reason why you would get kicked out of a tribe. You know what I mean? Well, like, be done or failed.
As we have witnessed in the real world recently, you don't really need a reason to be deported from somewhere.
That's true. That is true. Yes, that was a good segue. Yeah, that is true. You don't need a reason. So these guys are free Trumpers. Like they like Trump's. Like I was watching the Karate Kid cartoon one day when I was eating my 8th Big Mac for the day, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna do that because when I become president, like 40 years from now, I'm just gonna start deporting people for no reason. Anyway, and some bullshit. He's got this magical device, artifact, what have you, that glows whenever he.
Yeah, and it's the shrine.
That is the shrine. See, people are wondering, they thought the shrine was like an actual shrine. No, it's this tiny little thing that you can fit in your hands. That's the shrine, which is kind of
looks like I don't know, like a G.I. Joe version of sized version of an actual shrine. Like
shrine.
Looks like a little
shrine. It's like a tiny little thing. I mean, it wasn't tiny, but you could hold it in your hands. But it wasn't. It was like it wasn't like a shrine is usually something that's at least as like tall as like a shed or something. Like maybe not like a house, but it's usually something that you can crawl into. Maybe at very least, you know what I mean? Like not holding your hands, but okay, I guess that was the MacGuffin.
Like the shrine that one person that kidnapped me that one time had in their house was a whole like bedroom. It was weird, but wait, I shouldn't talk about that.
If somebody kidnapped you once, when?
I'm not allowed to talk about that.
All right, that's fine.
No, yeah, but let's say theoretically this did happen. There was there was a bedroom with pictures of me all over the walls, and on the outside door it said "Shrine to Mike." And there was a bed. Sure there was a bed in there, the handcuffs that I had to, Anyways, I'm not allowed to talk about it. The government told me not to.
Government told you not. I have a good idea who it was, but I'm not going to say either. So we're good.
Yeah,
we're good. We're all good. Sorry.
It wasn't Tony Generous. That's all I'm. Wait.
Oh, that's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking. All right. Tony.
Theoretically, it wasn't Tony Generous, but theoretically, it could have been Tony Generous. So,
but no. Yeah. So if you're just tuning in for the first time, Tony Generous is a character of ours who is a step cousin twice removed of
Tom Petty.
So I'm trying to think of his name. Tom Petty.
Yeah, but he's not just he's a real person. Believe me, I have the scars. I mean, I theoretically have the scars.
Person. That's scars. He likes wildflowers a lot for some reason. I'm not sure why, but like he's a big fan of those.
I mean, he kept saying that I belong among them.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just
you belong among the wildflowers. He kept saying you belong somewhere you feel free, but at the same time, I was handcuffed and I was it was contradictory. It didn't make any sense.
Well, that's weird when you're dealing with someone who's obviously like got mental problems like of that degree. There is no sense of what they're doing. It's So it's like the guy who bombed all the Tesla cars outside of Trump Tower, but he was pro-Trump and pro-Elon Musk. There's no way you just can't make like
it was only to be fair, it was only one car, but yeah.
Just one. Okay, all right.
Yeah, and I believe he was in the car too, or something, but I don't know. I'm not sure. Yeah. So, anyways, back to the Karate Kid, the greatest animated series.
That's the good show.
We've got this kid who's so we find out he's supposed to be the chief of these people, and there's bad guys. Like this plot is so thin. Anyway, so
it is. It's so stupid, and like there's nothing that happens really in the entire episode.
And the animation was subpar, in my opinion, too. There was even one point where Miyagi is speaking, but Daniel's lips are moving. So, like, Daniel's lips are moving, but Miyagi's voice is coming out of him.
Okay, that's hilarious.
Yeah,
is that like a karate move right there, where someone else's lip as you're speaking?
No, it's just it's just called overwork animators who probably didn't notice that they animated the wrong lip, and it probably was animated overseas, and they don't speak English.
Christ.
That happens in a lot of animated series just from that time where they were trying to churn out stuff fast, where you'll have the wrong person. Like sometimes it'll even be like where a woman's mouth is moving, but like a guy's voice is coming out of it, like one of the other characters.
Yeah. The hell? It's like, yeah. I mean, I can't imagine this a lot of care was put into this show. So people are just like, all right, just go ahead and do it. I don't give a shit. But so yeah, this kid, he's quote unquote a coward, which I guess is the reason enough to kick you out of tribe, which that seems very loose reason, but fine, whatever. We're in Karate Kid. We're in the KKU right now, the Karate Kid universe. So the rules are if I call it the KKU. Not the KKK, thankfully. But,
yeah, I was gonna say, that's a completely different universe. They wear different things than what we wear in this universe. Yeah. So
they wear white, but it's not a white gi. It's a different thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So a bit different. So yeah, this kid, he gets saved by Daniel by doing really basic karate shit that you probably learn like in your first like 5 lessons. But anyway, and somehow he's able to defeat like this fucking tribal warrior who's like 10 years older than he is and has probably been fighting his entire life. But Daniel did a weird kick move and somehow toppled him over. And so yay. And then he saves the kid, who, again, I don't know his name. And then the kid's like all enamored now. He wants to learn karate, Daniel. And Daniel's like, hey, Mr. Miyagi, the kid wants to learn karate. Or no, I want to teach him. He's like, no, can't teach him. It's like, why not? Because he doesn't really want to learn right now. Yeah, he does. Like, no, you got to let him. No. If you're not going to teach him, I'm going to. Okay, just pump the brakes there, Daniel. You've been learning karate for like 9 months at this point in the timeline. Like, you're not at a teaching level at this moment. And if you are, you're going to actually do more damage to the kid by not being able to teach him correctly. You're going to cause him like permanent injury problem by telling them to do something incorrectly. But, it's all about Daniel. It's always been all about Daniel. Daniel. He's the hero of his own story and everyone else's stories too. And he'll make sure that you believe that he's the hero. Otherwise, you're the villain. You're Cobra Kai. And I'm like 17 years old and I'm like a moody brat who thought that like the very first night I moved into a new city, I could just start hitting on some guy's friend. And then I start the fight with said guy. And then ironically, Johnny, who learns Cobra Kai, right? Cobra Kai's entire philosophy is strike first, strike hard, no mercy. Well, Daniel struck first. Johnny did defensive moves twice. So ironically, Johnny was actually going against his own sensei's teachings by showing Daniel mercy. And then Daniel took advantage of that mercy by sucker punching him. And only then, after the third provocation, did Johnny finally knock his ass down with a really sweet kick and backhanded punch like a little bitch he is. And then it was like, Johnny's the villain, Cobra Kai's bad, evil, Cobra Kai evil. So someone's allowed to attack you 3 times, and when you defend yourself finally at the 3rd time, you're the bad guy. Gotcha. But that's Daniel's world. That's the world he lives in, right? And so Daniel obviously moved that into the
deep breaths. They did a whole TV series about this. You're good. That's cool.
Meditation. But obviously brought that mentality to the jungle, which is the obviously worst place to bring that mentality into. It's one thing to get in the fights in the sandy beach of fucking Los Angeles, but the goddamn jungle.
This is the most stereotypical like jungle people I've ever seen too. It's like
it is. It's like, I saw a documentary once. I read the.
It's somehow racist. I just can't put my finger on exactly how.
Well, it's probably because it's like so many ways that's racist. It's hard to even.
It's not like I can just like point to one thing. It's not like somebody said the N-word. It's like a whole thing. It's
I mean, like it's even like Mr. Miyagi, like you said, birds are sign instead of saying birds are a sign. Later on, Mr. Miyagi is literally chopping trees with his bare hands. Okay, my dude. In the original Karate Kid, the KKU, the KKU proper, if you will, he was pretty cool, but like he must have been like really hiding his power level if he can cut down trees with his bare hands. We're not even talking about like a wristband. Like he didn't even put like tape around his wrist, like sometimes boxers. Had his straight up hands karate chopping that shit down to make a raft of fresh logs. Okay, and then at one point, and we want to talk about deportation and like the rule of law and constitution, right? Well, like there's another scene where the tribal people are also very much like Trump, and they don't want like a fair trial or whatever, so they're gonna like feed him to alligators. And at one point, he goes, "I'm innocent," and they go, "Where we come from, if you survive, you're innocent." And then they like laugh, like cackling, like so. That's a very Trumpian thing right there. Like, well, but then. Mr. Miyagi, again, the wisdom that Mr. Miyagi has, he looks down to alligators and he says, "This is not a trial by my peers." So this actually is a metaphor, if you think about it, between fascism and democracy, where the alligators were kind of like, oops. A very poorly made metaphor. The alligators are like like I'm just following orders. They're like those people, like Trump or Hitler told me to do this, so I'm just going to go ahead and do it. So those are alligators. And then the guards are the ones that are telling him, hey, laughing at him, like, hey, if you survive this, then I guess they'll let you free, even though you probably won't. But like, it'd be cool to see you try. And then, of course, Mr. Miyagi survives the alligators by tying his shoelaces around his. Well,
it's similar to how they would they would drown quote unquote witches during like Salem, in the 1600s and stuff time or whatever, where they would tie things to them and put them in the water. And if they floated, then they were a witch. But if they drowned, they weren't.
Right. So it's like, well, she can't now, she can't like do trial against us because she's dead. Right. So it's perfect. Like, it's a win-win if you really, but to them, it's a win-win. And, so yeah, Mr. Miyagi's doing his thing. He ends up tying his belt to the alligator's mouth so he can't open his mouth to eat him or bite him or whatever. Yay! And then he gets out just in time for dinner because there was like, oh, it's funny. The kid and them went fishing and they caught a total of 3 fish. I'm sitting there thinking, okay, I understand if we're not living in a capitalist world in the jungle. I get that, right? There's a little bit more of a communalist thing going on. But you really only catch the exact number of fish for the exact number of people that are eating. Like, you're not going to get extra fish in there, like a couple. I mean, like, like.
Well, maybe they're conservationists and they realize that they don't need more fish they don't need to catch more fish than they need. And so they threw back the extra ones that they caught.
So yeah, so they're not gorging themselves on, by the way, I'm sorry, those fish were tiny. That's not gorging yourself. That's just stopping yourself from pure starvation. You're not getting your fill.
In animation world, that's like filling, I guess.
Whatever. And, so Mr. Miyagi, he's like, oh, just in time for dinner, or whatever it's dumb thing that they're doing. They're like, Mr. Miyagi's bit. No, that's right. You didn't get 4. That's the other fucking thing. You guys expected, obviously, Mr. Miyagi to die because he didn't catch extra fish for him. But no, he said, I'll see you at dinner. They're like, oh, he's obviously not good. He's going to die out there. So like, what the fuck are we going to catch 4th fish for? Why? Yeah. And so that mean Daniel had to give him half of his, or did they all split it into thirds so then that Mr. Miyagi would get like the exact equal amount of fish per ratio that they got? So that means everyone now is eating less food because they didn't think of like fish. I know this shouldn't bother me, but that really bothers me in this episode.
I just figured out what the kid's name that they're helping out. His name's Kala.
That's right, Kala. Okay.
Yeah, I just saw it on the computer when I didn't bother to look it up earlier.
It really doesn't. Kala is an idiot. And so like the dude who wants to be like the chieftain, I guess, somehow he steals the shrine and turns himself into a jaguar for some reason, and then tries to kill the fire, I guess. I don't know how you couldn't like.
I got some quote here from the show too, from around there. Like Miyagi comes in, and he's like, "Greetings from Tribal Chief." And Kala says, "You have met Noah?" And Miyagi says, "Yes, honorable gentleman is what Daniel-san call real jerk."
Oh my God. What? I don't even know what that. I know that Miyagi talked in broken English a little bit in the movies. You could at least understand him.
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
It says, "Yes, honorable gentleman," talking about the tribal chief. I'm going by context here. Is what Daniel-san. So is what Daniel would call a real jerk, but it says call real jerk.
Okay. I get it now. All right, fine. Okay, I guess. I mean, why, Mike? Can I take a break just for a second here? Why do we do this to ourselves? I've been thinking about this a lot lately. Why, for 7 years, have we been torturing ourselves watching crap? Most of the time, we don't even remember. I noticed this. There's movies that I remember watching as a kid, like 30, 40 years later. Some of the movies that we watched like 6 months ago, I don't remember. It's like I turn off the memory for the shit we watched for our show, even though we probably watched hundreds of movies at this point. I can remember 20, maybe at the most.
However, yeah, the same thing. I was going to say I remember all of them. No, I don't remember.
Who's there? I remember Jingle All the Way too. I remember our early shit. I remember those things.
I remember, like, if you say the name of something we watched, I'll be like, oh yeah, we watched that. But if you ask me the plot of it, I can't tell you. Yeah. But you know why we do this? It's for our fans. It's for all of you out there listening in the United States and India, in Canada, in Great Britain, and other places around the world, Israel even, free Palestine. And all of you people. So yeah, thanks for listening. I appreciate it.
We really do. We really do. So what else happens? I'm blanking on the rest of the shit. Dude.
So basically, they come up with this plan they got to fight the big bad guy. And they're fighting him on this log across like a big pit of fire, because everybody has a big pit of fire in the jungle. And, like you do, I have a big pit of fire in my living room. It's weird, but, with a log across it, and I just walk around it, to get to the TV. But,
imagine this is what happens when you put a fire pit in your room. I mean, your house, your apartment.
Yeah.
Okay. Quick thought here. Can you imagine how hot and how high that fire has to be to dig a fucking hole in the ground and somehow manage to get the aim stick shoot up that high? What are they using here? Like bottles of lighter fluid? I mean,
I don't know. So, speaking of things like that, like living room stuff, it just reminded me of so when I was in my 20s and my sister was a teen, she used to have random bunch of people. She was going through her teenage phase, and she used to have people over all the time. And, one day I came home, I was in college, I think, or maybe I wasn't, or maybe I was still in high school. Maybe I was a teen too. But anyways, I come home one day from doing whatever I was doing, work or school or whatever. And, in the middle of my living room, there's a fire.
Oh,
there's a metal trash can, not like an outdoor trash can, but like a small metal trash can with fire burning on it. And, they're literally making s'mores.
My God. They couldn't do it outside.
I had to kick them out. I put the fire out and kicked them out of the house. Yeah.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
Okay. There's teenager doing dumb shit, and then that's a whole new level. You're gonna burn a house down doing dumb shit. That's.
I think at the time we had wood floors too, so it was
I got wood floors.
Yeah.
So
this is smart. Anyways, back to the fire pit in this show. They're on this log, and basically, Kala decides that. Daniel decides, because he didn't train Kala good. Yeah. In a single day where he'd be able to, in Daniel's mind, be able to fight this Noah guy. Daniel decides that he's going to dress up in this traditional, disgusting looking costume thing that they fight in and pretend that he's Kala. And so they fight on this thing, and then eventually it's revealed that, oh no, this is not really Kala. And then they all try to get everybody, and then we get our heroes all fight away from them. And then, but during all this, Noah gets a hold of the shrine, and, he's able to turn himself into a jaguar. And, before he had been wearing the headdress of a jaguar, like jaguar skin on his body, like you do. And, he goes after people, starts fighting them, whatever, but, he loses the shrine and the thing. And then Kala ends up using the shrine to make the beast go away, talking about the, thing. So then, Noah's back to being himself. And then eventually Kala says, I'll fight you 1-on-1, but they end up losing the shrine. It goes floating down the river. Taki tries to catch it, but she can't. And then they fight 1-on-1, and basically alligators are coming to kill Noah at one point, and Miyagi saves his life. But then eventually, all's happy and all's well that ends well, and Kala becomes the chief, and we get our credits and whatnot.
Yay!
And that was the greatest story ever told.
Even even greater is if they kept him as a jaguar. But then after but then they ate him as a jaguar.
Yes, because that'd go over well on Saturday morning in the 80s.
Well, I'm not saying it would show them eat the jaguar, but I'm saying it would be implied, why not? We're gonna have Mr. Miyagi getting eaten by alligators. I mean,
this was after Reagan got rid of some of the regulations on Saturday morning cartoons, so maybe they could have gotten.
That's another Republican got rid of regulations on Oh man.
Oh boy.
Do that for real? Are you joking, or is that for real?
What, Reagan getting rid of her? Like, no, there was
Why would he do that?
hold on a second.
I was gonna say, because you would think that he would want more regulations on shows because he was like super conservative.
Well, no, the deregulation of advertising was what it mostly was. That was the deregulation and advertising to children, how Ronald Reagan created your childhood. Basically, what it ended up doing was it allowed these, I was just saying the regulation that had nothing to do with like being able to show violence and stuff, but it was more the regulation where, he deregulated the deregulation of advertising to children in the 80s. This allowed companies to market as much as they wanted to kids, leading to an explosion of new toys, cartoons, junk food, and breakfast cereals. So that's why you could have, prior to, like, I think He-Man, you couldn't have a cartoon that was basically made to sell toys.
Right. Okay. I get that.
Like He-Man was seriously all fully made just to sell the action figures. Same thing with, eventually you got, Transformers and GoBots and Thundercats and all that shit, around that time. They were all made just to sell toys, G.I. Joe, whatnot. Because like, before like the G.I. Joe animated series, they only sold G.I. Joe as a toy, but you couldn't have a thing because they did studies where children couldn't tell the difference between an advertisement and the actual show.
Right.
So when you would have, like, say, an episode of He-Man showing, and then all of a sudden there's an ad for the He-Man toys, the kids couldn't tell the difference. And so they thought literally that the show was telling them that they needed to buy the toys, which it kind of was. So, yeah.
The child's brain is not even close to being fully developed. I mean, at this point, some scientists are saying, I know like the current belief is that usually about the age of like 25 or so, like not, some people are now even saying might not even be till like 40 years old. And that kind of makes sense because a lot of old ancient traditions and stuff basically said that by 40 is like where you're like your pinnacle of like your intelligence and like stuff like that. So which is kind of funny if you think about it, because Trump is 78, which means that he's not even fully developed now in his brain. So he's like third behind. What's that?
He can't tell the difference between good and bad and things, because on May 4th he posted a takedown of people showing himself holding a lightsaber, but it was the red Sith lightsaber color, and he's trying to present himself as the rebel and not the Rebel Alliance and not the Empire, when he's totally out of it and doesn't understand the difference.
Either that, or I'm thinking it's AIR that didn't know the difference, so it just made a red lightsaber and they just who cares? They just downloaded it and put it up there. Like that's what I'm thinking. Sometimes AIR won't really give you what you really tell them to do.
Well, yeah, but my thing is you can usually try a second time, or you know what else you could do?
You just say blue lights,
or you could just not post it.
Yeah, especially on the White House's own page. But that's like so hacky and like, I mean, if you really think about it, because we talk about Reagan, like, so Reagan deregulates all the advertising shit so that they can advertise like really unhealthy cereals and foods like that are not nutritious at all for growing children, which is weird because so Reagan's like, no, fuck it. I want them to eat Cocoa Puffs until they get super emaciated and unhealthy. And then Michelle Obama are like, hey, maybe we should like grow a garden at the White House. Maybe we should do like initiatives like at schools, like public schools, to kind of like teach kids like how to eat better. And they're like, communists, Michelle Obama's trying to force our kids what to eat. How come? What if our kids want to eat foot-long hot dogs with chili sauce every day? Freedom, America. And now RFK's like, oh, you shouldn't be able to like drink soda. You should, yeah, that's right. RFK, he's wants our people to be healthy. It's like, but Michelle Obama, she just wanted to have an initiative to convince people to eat healthy, and she wasn't trying to actually make it a requirement by law. And you said that was communist, and communist equals bad because you've been brainwashed to believe anything that the American government tells you about socialism is evil, because you haven't actually done it in your own independent research, and you just believe whatever nation's propaganda that you live in tells you. But then when RFK says, no, I'm going to force you to live a certain way, and I'm going to force you to catch polio and the measles And you're like, yeah, freedom by being forced to do something. What? I kind of got off track. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, to be fair, when it came to a lot of things too, like when the regulation of stuff, the regulations on children's television kind of ended during the Bush senior term, where he kind of made they put some regulation back in where they didn't totally take away the idea that you could sell. You couldn't sell toys, or they didn't bring that back where you couldn't sell toys, but they did require so much educational television to be shown along with those type of shows. So I will give him credit for so yeah.
You can give Papa George credit for that, but to be unfair, maybe not unfair, let's be real. George H.W. Bush was practically a Democrat, if you think about it. I mean, yeah, he called, but really, if you think about it, his policy is really not that much different than Bill Clinton. So actually, you're wrong. Since George H.W. Bush was basically a Democrat in disguise, technically his policy was Democrat policy. So I'm wrong. So I reworked it so my opinion's right no matter what. Very Trumpian if you think about it. Right? I learned from the best, you know?
So anyways, any other thoughts about the Karate Kid, the animated series?
Oh, no. Somehow we get on these things out of nowhere. We just pull at a thread until there's nothing left but nothingness without end. To quote Daniel Bailiff in The Believer. Another really good movie, by the way, from 2001. Daniel Bailiff plays a Jewish man who wants to be a neo-Nazi at the same time. And so he has like the struggle of identity between his neo-Nazi-ness, which kind of reminds me because there's another character in our government named Stephen Miller who's Jewish, but he's also like super into Nazism. And so it's like he might have actually with him there is no like he just is evil. There is no like both conscious in that one. So if anything, Daniel Jewish neo-Nazi actually was a better person than Stephen Miller, an actual Jewish for real, a character in a movie, but an actual living real person is worse than Ryan Gosling playing Daniel Bailiff, a Jewish neo-Nazi, also actually based off a real person. Anyway, sorry.
So I'm going to ask you again. Anything else to say about the Karate Kid, the animated series?
Well, no, I told you already was a metaphor for constitutional fascism. So it was a metaphor for democratic constitutionalist autocracy. The tribal people were the autocrats who tried to feed Mr. Miyagi, an innocent citizen, actually. Oh, he was born foreign. He was a U.S. citizen, or he was a jungle citizen, but yet they decided to feed him to the alligators, i.e., the soldiers or the people who do the bidding of the state, even though they just say, because I was just following orders, the alligator is like, well, I was told to eat this guy, and so that's what I'm doing. And then Mr. Miyagi represents the innocent citizens who are being deported and or killed for no reason other than just their race, whatever, And so that is a metaphor between the two. So no, I don't have any opinions, any more opinions on the Karate Kid cartoon pilot episode. My Brother's Keeper, for some reason, named it. No one knows why. Unless I'm trying to say that Daniel is like the Kala's brother, even though they only met him for one day. So he's like a spiritual brother or like an adopted brother, I guess.
Yeah.
That far.
Or you just picked words out of a hat to name the episode.
GPT, they probably just pick names like original Chat GPT, where it's just putting names in a hat and then pulling something out, and there you go, My Brother's Keeper, awesome, cool, and then we'll just tag it at the end of the. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm like off the rails here.
I have nothing else to say about the episode besides the fact that I hated it, and
exactly, yeah.
I don't even think I would have enjoyed this as a kid. So
I do have one more thought. The cartoon Daniel is way more shredded and ripped than the real Daniel in the movie. This guy looks like
it's true.
What the hell happened?
It's like they got him looking like, I don't know, like Dolph Lundgren and not not Ralph Macchio. But yeah. I guess they did that
anyway.
Because I do believe there were probably toys for this show or something. I don't know, but who knows? Anyways, folks, I hope you enjoyed this crazy episode here. And just remember that you can check us out over on all2real2.com. We've got a link there to our Patreon where you can help support the show. Please do. If you're listening, just give us $1 a month. That'd be cool. You know, we'll mention you on the show. You know, if you do, if you sign up, I'll even if it's not part of the tier, I'm going to mention everybody that signs up. You know, I'm feeling like generous. You know, like Tony.
Well.
And
Tony, well, so if we get like 5,000, obviously we can't list all 5,000, but unless we have like an actual list like that goes down the screen. But we cannot list all five. Sorry, Mike, we cannot list all 5,000
as they join. I'm gonna not, you know, all right. I'm gonna do it, mind you. No, okay. So yeah, like if somebody joins this week, I'll be like, hey, Tony Generous just subscribed.
Yes.
Yeah. And then next week I'll be like, yes, Pol Pot just subscribed. And then, wait,
Pol Pot, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I was listening to Bastards episode series about Pol Pot recently.
Me too. Anyways, that's why I in mind.
Yeah. That's why you're thinking about him. Yeah.
Yeah. But just go to our Patreon. You know, you can go to our TeePublic too if you want something, you know, tangible to help support us, like a shirt or coffee mug or something with our logo on it or one of our other designs. Also, you know, just spread the word. Go on Facebook or TikTok or Instagram or Blue Sky or Threads or one of those type of things, and you know, just say, hey, check out all2real2.com. They got cool shows there. You know, do it like that. You know, write it exactly like that. And yes, and also be good to each other, people. You know, just be kind. We need that more than anything else in the world. Free Palestine. Trans lives are human lives.
I think so.
No human is illegal.
Technically, some are, but that doesn't mean it's a bad thing.
Oh, so, well, technically, even if you use the word illegal, I don't think I consider them illegal because all humans are legal human beings. They might be. No,
I get the opposite. I was just being almost gigantic there.
But anyways, no human is illegal. There should be no borders. Anyways, so.
No, yeah.
I fully believe that. The earth is but one country and mankind its citizens, as Baha'u'llah said. Anyway, so, yep. Like I said, be good. Just remember that I love you. Birds are sign. Sesame loves you. And until next time, bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to All Too Real 2 podcast, a Cullen Park production. Produced and edited by Michael E. Cullen II. Music by Matthew Hawes. Subscribe and share the show. Visit us at cullenpark.com.